Chapter 1. Introduction. Soon after high school, I started landing modeling jobs. I couldn't believe it. It was all happening so fast. I met my husband, father of my oldest child, and one of my oldest friends in life. I'll be sure. It was a whirlwind romance. I was only 19 when we married. And no, it didn't work out. But Al is still one of my best friends to this day. Our son Quincy is such a talented and wonderful young man. At that time, I had no idea my relationship with Al was going to introduce me to the man that I would spend the better part of my adult life with. A man whom I would love and cherish, but eventually fear and hate. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I will say, although I knew what was going on, I turned a blind eye. Here I have to tell the truth, unfortunately, because deep down I knew everything that was happening. But I lied to myself a lot. He was so charming, a wolf in sheep's clothing, a devil, and I fell for it. This story must be told, despite the fact it will hurt my children. I cannot hide it any longer. Sean Combs must be stopped. Chapter 2. Humble Beginnings. I was born to two loving parents, Jake Porter and Sarah L. Porter, in the Peach State of Georgia. All through Columbus High School, where I graduated in '88, I knew I was going to be famous. In the 10th grade, one of my best friends, Tina, said to me, "You won't make it here in Georgia." I knew if I really wanted to be famous, I would have to leave my hometown. I would have to leave Georgia. That conversation was so important as I look back now. It changed my life. I met Al while I was working in the industry. He was so charming, and I had such a crush on him. We were married before I knew it, and Quincy was on the way. But I was young, and it just felt like it wasn't going to last. It was a little heated between us after we separated, but we got past that quickly. He is just a super dope guy and an amazing father. Though we separated, we are forever bonded through Quincy. Thank you, Al. I will always love you. When I met Sean, he was cool. I didn't think much of him at the time. He was just another guy at the label. Uptown was huge, and we were all living our best life. But Sean continued to lay on the charm. And before I knew it, we were dating. As a young single mom at one of the hottest companies in the world, life couldn't get any better. And then it did. My boyfriend was getting even bigger. He and Clive would hang out a lot, but I didn't think anything of it. I mean, that was his boss, and he was doing things bigger than most men dare to even dream. And then it happened. I mean, okay, I was a little bit of a freak. I really enjoyed myself with my partner. And toys are one thing, but I never imagined having a man I was dating asking me to use the toy on him. The first time, he said he just wanted to experiment, try something new. I was grossed out, but he kept begging. He said it would only be this one time, and he was just curious. I was only 20 at the time. I said, "What the hell?" I hated it. He bled from it, and there was shit on it. I left him alone after that. Chapter 3. Second Chances. Sean kept reaching out, and I kept ignoring his calls. Eventually, in a few weeks, we ran into each other at an event. He came over and sat next to me. We were cordial. He flattered me by saying, "You look so amazing." I replied with a simple, "Thanks, Sean." I tried to get up to leave, but he pulled my arm back. As I turned to look at him, he looked deep into my eyes and said, "Look, what happened between us was weird, but I really care about you. I think I'm falling in love with you. Can we talk?" My breath was taken away. Did he say he loved me? It was so fast. But I wasn't aware this was his manipulation tactic. Not yet. God, I was so young, so naive. He continued, "Let's just have dinner." And I fell for it. 2 days later, we went out for drinks at a lounge in Lower Manhattan. The place was nice. Sean was really coming up and pulling out all the stops to impress me. He pulled the chair out for me to sit. Back then, he was always a gentleman. He smiled and said, "Look, I hated it. I never want to do it again. Just give me another chance." Over coffee the next morning, I decided to give him another chance. For the next year and a half, things seemed pretty normal. It was fun. Things were going great and we were living the dream. Sean and Clive were working on Bad Boy, and he had his first couple of artists. He picked up Craig Mack, then some rapper from the West Coast called Notorious B1. He was collaborating with the biggest names in hip hop to make it happen. Things could not be more amazing. Then he asked me to do it again. It was insane. Sean said, "Baby, I can't stop thinking about it." "What the hell are you talking about?" I responded. Sean continued, "I just can't stop thinking about that night. It was amazing. Can you screw me one more time, please?" I became infuriated. "Why don't you go to Clive? He is the one screwing you, isn't he?" Then Sean hit me. This was the first time he slapped me. Before I could form words, he began to beg. "I'm sorry." Holding my cheek where he hit me, I turned and ran off. That should have been it. But I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. He sent flowers and a bunch of expensive gifts. Then we bumped into each other at another industry event. He sat down next to me. This was deja vu. Sean started. "Imagine running into you here." "Get the fuck away from me," I said. He became more serious. "Look, baby, I'm sorry." I just glared at him. "There is nothing you can ever say to me." After an awkward silence, he finished. "You know I love you. I love your son. He's my son. I don't know how to fix this, but I'll do anything. I'm sorry." Shit, he can be so sweet. Here we go again with the love thing. He was great with Quincy, and to be honest, despite everything, I missed him. As he stood to walk away, I remember hearing myself saying, "Call me later." What the fuck is wrong with me?